A base model pickup truck now costs $38,000, requiring an additional $150 a year in subscription fees just to use the remote start. The vehicle's operations are managed by 150 million lines of computer code, exceeding the amount used in a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. In contrast, a 1,995 Ford F-250 with 0 computers, 0 subscriptions, and 0 dealer software dependencies recently sold for $58,000, surpassing its original inflation-adjusted price. For middle-class families who rely on a truck for daily employment, commuting, and basic logistics, this price inversion represents a fundamental shift in household economics. The modern pickup truck has transitioned from a physical utility vehicle into a closed platform for continuous financial extraction. When a single sensor failure or a software lock prevents a vehicle from operating, the economic pressure lands directly on household budgets already constrained by the rising costs of housing, utilities, and groceries. Consumers are forced into a captive service market, losing control over their own mobility and facing unpredictable, escalating costs to maintain their primary source of transportation. This financial shift traces back to a federal regulatory decision in late 1996 when the Environmental Protection Agency finalized a mandate. The rule required every new light-duty truck sold in America to include a standardized 16-pin diagnostic port known as OD2, applying to all gasoline trucks starting in model year 1996 and to diesel trucks beginning in 1997. This diagnostic port functions as a permanent tether to the vehicle's emission controls, engine management systems, and the manufacturer's proprietary software ecosystem. Every system capable of affecting emissions, including oxygen sensors, catalytic converters, evaporative controls, and exhaust gas recirculation valves, must be continuously monitored by an onboard computer. If any component registers slightly out of range, the system triggers a diagnostic code. In most states, that specific code mandates a failed inspection, requiring the vehicle owner to visit an authorized dealer to clear the fault and repair the system. This regulatory architecture shifted vehicle maintenance away from independent mechanics and home driveways, directing it into authorized dealership networks. Independent repair shops and vehicle owners are required to purchase modern scan tools costing between $5,000 and $10,000, alongside annual licensing fees, simply to access the full suite of diagnostic codes needed for basic repairs. The Federal Trade Commission documented the severity of this economic drain in its 2021 report, Nixing the Fix. The report revealed how automakers and equipment giants utilize software locks, proprietary parts, and dealer-only diagnostic tools to systematically block independent repair. As a result, American consumers lose up to $5 billion annually by being forced into dealer service networks for tasks as basic as replacing a sensor or programming a new key. For a working household, this represents money diverted from daily living expenses to cover mandatory, proprietary service fees. Trucks manufactured before the 1996 mandate remain entirely outside this regulatory and financial structure. Models like the 1995 Ford F-250, the 1994 Chevrolet GMT 400, and the 1993 Dodge Cummins were built without the 16-pin digital gateway. They contain no emissions computer and face no legal requirement for a retrofit. Emissions inspections for these older trucks, when required at all, rely on basic visual checks or tailpipe tests rather than proprietary computer scans. The absence of this diagnostic port functions as a regulatory firewall. Owners of pre-OBD trucks bypass mandatory software updates, recurring emissions codes, and the escalating dealership repair costs that define the modern pickup experience. This exemption forms the foundation of a legal and structural cost advantage for those trying to maintain financial stability. The financial disparity between modern and pre-OBD trucks compounds over a standard ownership cycle. A new full-size pickup currently averages $66,386. Buyers financing this amount face monthly payments near $850 over 6 years, incurring thousands in interest. 5 years after driving off the lot, modern trucks typically lose 55% of their value to depreciation. By contrast, well-maintained pre-OBD models routinely sell for $30,000 to $38,000. Market data indicates these older trucks have appreciated by 38 to 45% over the last 5 years, outpacing many new vehicles. Over a decade, a new truck can cost a household $128,000 when factoring in payments, depreciation, and fees. A pre-ob truck averages $76,000 in total cost over the same period while actively gaining market value, flipping the financial calculus of vehicle ownership from a depreciating liability to a stable asset. Operational and repair costs reflect this divide. A turbocharger replacement on a 2024 modern EcoBoost engine runs between $2,800 and $4,200 for parts and labor, presenting a common failure point at roughly 150,000 miles. Conversely, on a 1,995 Dodge Cummins or a 7.3-liter Ford Power Stroke, rebuilding a mechanical injection pump costs $500 for a kit and $400 for local diesel shop labor. A complete engine rebuild for a pre-OBD diesel costs between $3,500 and $5,000, often occurring only after the vehicle passes 300,000 miles of operation. Annual maintenance data from 2023 shows modern trucks cost owners $1,200 to $2,000 yearly, driven upward by dealer-only diagnostics and advanced sensor calibrations that cannot be performed at home. Pre-OBD trucks average $400 to $650 annually for basic upkeep. These older fuel systems operate at lower mechanical pressures, around 1,200 psi compared to 30,000 psi operating in modern common rail systems. The use of solid cast iron housings, purely mechanical injection, and the complete absence of diesel exhaust fluid, EGAR valves, and diesel particulate filters results in fewer catastrophic failures. Modern trucks also integrate features like remote start, navigation, and heated seats behind subscription paywalls. Services charge up to $150 a year to maintain basic functionality, with automakers adding their own monthly fees for key fob use or Wi-Fi. A 2023 study found that 84% of connected vehicles share or sell driver data, location habits, and biometrics to insurance firms and advertisers. Pre-OBD trucks operate without data ports, telematics, or factory tracking. They lack remote kill switches, over-the-air updates, and the risk of losing access if a payment lapses, ensuring owner autonomy over the machine and personal data. In over 30 states, trucks 25 years or older qualify for emissions exemptions, antique registration, and classic insurance, dropping annual fees by hundreds of dollars compared to new pickup insurance averages. This economic independence is currently facing targeted legislative pressure, with the fight moving directly into state legislatures. In California, a 2025 legislative proposal landed in committee threatening to eliminate the emissions testing exemption for trucks over 25 years old. The bill would force owners of pre-OBD trucks to install retrofit diagnostic kits, costing $1,200 to $1,500 per vehicle. This mandate would erase much of the cost advantage relied upon by working households, forcing them back into a cycle of escalating compliance costs. The precedent set by a 2022 lawsuit regarding agricultural repair software demonstrated that while limited access to diagnostic tools can sometimes be negotiated, the pricing structures continue to keep most owners dependent on official channels. As new vehicle costs and software restrictions climb, purchasing older mechanical trucks serves as an economic defense against an industry transitioning toward leased dependency. The pre-OBD exemption shields owners from proprietary dealer networks, subscription fees, forced depreciation, and surveillance. Automakers and state lawmakers are actively attempting to close these regulatory exemptions. The future of independent vehicle ownership and stable transportation costs for middle-class families now hinges on what survives the next round of state regulation.